that Atta is definitely a human. So why does it look like this?
Anything from ancient Greece simply shouldn't have gear wheels. This was just completely shocking.
There are many things in the world that cannot be explained even after thorough examination. Some remain mysteries and others baffle everyone, including the scientific community. Join us as we look at 20 mysterious discoveries that defy science.
So there's a human footprint right there.
Wow.
Yeah, and so if you look...
That is amazing.
20. Stone sphere in Bosnia. To the uninformed eye, the enormous rock sphere rising out of the underbrush and mud of the forest in Bosnia may seem man-made, but it's probably not any particular indication of a vanished civilization. The Bosnian Indiana Jones, archaeologist Semir Osmanagich, claims that a stone ball measuring 3 meters in diameter that was discovered in the Visoko Valley of Bosnia was created by an unidentified civilization that lived there more than a millennium ago, but there are numerous reasons to doubt this ridiculous assertion. Archaeologist Semir Osmanagich's statement that the brown and red color of the ballpoint to a very high content of iron is precisely what has specialists convinced that this is a concretion, a naturally formed spherical rock. Because many concretions are iron-rich, they appear reddish. Regretfully, in contrast to the Costa Rican spheres, the stone spheres found in Bosnia are probably just some concretions that date back millions of years rather than thousands of years, and not a sign of a lost civilization. 19. Swamp Ghost Flying Fortress in Papua New Guinea. The Boeing B-17E flying fortress, known as the Swamp Ghost, was flown by Captain Frederick Fred C. Eaton, Jr., and was forced to land in a swamp in Papua New Guinea on February 23, 1942, following an attack on ships in Japanese-occupied New Britain. It was stopped while passing over Rabaul and eventually forced to land in a secluded swamp close to the north coast of New Guinea due to fuel exhaustion. The hard descent and crash landing were survived by every member of the crew. When the airplane was found again in Agayambo Swamp in 1972, it was given the moniker Swamp Ghost. After being recovered in 2006, it was transported to the Ley Wharf and remained there while it awaited authorization to be shipped to the United States. The wreck was approved for shipment to the US in February 2010. In our thumbnail, we can see some men standing next to creatures from another world, perhaps aliens, or more likely, humans in disguise about to perform a show for a curious audience. 18. Atakama Skeleton. The 6-inch-long skeleton remains of a human fetus discovered in 2003 in the Atacama desert ghost town of La Noria, Chile, are commonly referred to as Atta. Unusual mutations linked to dwarfism and scoliosis were found in the 2018 DNA analysis of the premature human embryo. However, these results were later refuted. Oscar Munoz discovered the remains and subsequently sold them. Spanish businessman Ramon Navia Osorio is the current owner. The early human fetus's DNA revealed odd mutations linked to scoliosis and dwarfism, but other studies refuted the genetic anomalies, claiming that the skeleton demonstrated normal prenatal growth. Some, like UFO theorist Stephen M. Greer, have made baseless claims that Atta is an extraterrestrial. Due to this conjecture, Atta was featured in the 2013 UFO movie Sirius. Additionally, it attracted the interest of Stanford University geneticist Gary P. Nolan, who got in touch with the production crew and examined the skeleton's remnants. The skeleton is human, not extraterrestrial, according to the results of his DNA research. 17. Anti-Kythera Mechanism. 115 years ago, an archaeologist was sifting through objects found in the wreck of a 2,000-year-old vessel off the Greek island Antikythera. Among the wreck's treasures, beautiful vases and pots, jewelry, a bronze statue of an ancient philosopher was the most peculiar thing. A series of brass gears and dials mounted in a case the size of a mantle clock. Archaeologists dubbed the instrument the Antikythera Mechanism. The genius and mystery of this piece of ancient Greek technology, arguably the world's first computer, was a marvel to behold. At first glance, the piece of brass found near the wreck looks like something you might find in a junkyard or hanging on the wall of a maritime-themed dive bar. What remains of the mechanism is a set of rusted brass gears sandwiched into a rotting wooden box. But if you look into the machine, you see evidence of at least 24 gears, laid neatly on top of one another, calibrated with the precision of a master-crafted Swiss watch. This was a level of technology that archaeologists would usually date to the 16th century. It was immediately apparent that the mechanism was some sort of clock, calendar, or calculating device, but they did not understand what it was for. After a careful study of the gears, experts deduced that the mechanism Mechanism was used to predict the position of the planets and stars in the sky depending on the calendar month. How the ancient Greeks accomplished this feat is unknown to this day. 16. The Terracotta Army. Qin Shi Huang was China's first emperor. At the age of 13, he became king of the Qin kingdom. He eventually vanquished all other Chinese monarchs, uniting China, and proclaimed himself first emperor of the Qin dynasty. He began building his massive mausoleum as soon as he took the throne, and it took 38 years to complete, even though 700,000 convicts worked for 13 years. These enormous numbers are demonstrations of the emperor's extraordinary authority, and the work obviously bears the impression of their incredible labors. As emperor, he was repressive, banning and burning Confucian books and executing the scholars who wrote and studied them. Not surprisingly, there were at least 2 attempts to assassinate him. When the tomb was finished, it was covered in grass and trees to make it appear natural in the setting. From the outside, Qin Shi Huang's burial mound seems to be a hill. This explains how the massive tomb remained undetected until 1974, when rural peasants discovered it by mistake while digging a well. It blended in with its surroundings, resembling a foothill in the Li Mountains. As the design of the tomb complex illustrates, the tomb was flanked by numerous other burials, including 3 pits housing terracotta warriors known as the Terracotta Army. There was also a hole containing the remains of exotic animals, as well as the graves of followers who had been executed at the time of the burial. When we look at the wide rows of the 6,000 army troops in Pit 1, we witness a view that no one had seen in over 2,000 years, from the time the tombs were sealed until the 1970s excavations. The figures were placed in earthen-paved passageways, strengthened with wooden planks, and then buried. The soldiers are placed in battle formations, with an archer vanguard around most of the force. The archers' hands are now empty, but they used to hold wooden bows, vestiges of which may still be seen. These wooden bows, together with other troops' bronze weaponry, would have given the men a more lifelike appearance. 15. Viking Sword. Saga Vanacek discovered what she thought was a stick to be a 1,500-year-old sword. The sword was initially thought to be 1,000 years old, but experts at the local museum believe it is closer to 1,500 years old. You don't step on a sword in the lake every day. The water level was extremely low at the time due to a drought, which is most likely why Saga discovered the ancient weapon. She lifted something she felt in the water. Then, she noticed a handle and went to tell her father that it looked like a sword. Saga's father first assumed his daughter had discovered an unusual stick or branch in the water. It wasn't until he asked a friend to take a closer look that he realized it was most likely an ancient relic. The sword was extremely well preserved, according to the local museum where it is now housed. Additional excavations have revealed more ancient items lurking at the lake's bottom. Saga's discovery prompted the museum and local council to conduct additional excavations at the site, where they discovered a 3rd century brooch. 14. Oak Island Money Pit. The Oak Island Mystery is a collection of stories about buried treasure and unexplained objects discovered on or near the island of Oak Island in Nova Scotia, Canada. Attempts to find treasure and artifacts have been made since the 18th century. Theories about the island's artifacts range from pirate treasure to Shakespearean manuscripts to the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant, with the Grail and the Ark being buried there by the Knights Templar. Various items discovered on the island have surfaced over the years, some of which have been carbon dated and discovered to be hundreds of years old. Although these items are treasured in and of themselves, no significant main treasure site has ever been discovered. 13. Maya Cave of Balan. A short distance from Yucatan's historic Maya Toltec metropolis of Chichen Itza is the ancient Maya cave site known as Balan. It has been the center of ceremonies honoring the rain god of the Maya, Chak, and the Toltec equivalent, Tlaloc, throughout the post-classic era for over 2 millennia. Since Edward Thompson and Alfred Tauser's visit to the cave complex in 1905, numerous Mexican and American academics have investigated and examined it. The entrance to the cave was flanked by small structures and platforms. There were found to be walls, steps, altars, and ceremonial displays of tiny stone tools and pottery. Tourists are now able to visit the location. 12. Mysterious monoliths around the world. State personnel in Utah who were surveying wild bighorn sheep noticed a gleaming metal structure protruding from the stony canyon floor. Photographs of the structure, which became popularly known as the Utah Monolith because of its likeness to the same items in 2001, A Space Odyssey, circulated quickly. The structure appears to have been in the canyon since at least October 2016, despite just being discovered on November 18th. On November 27th, it vanished, but a video showing some men removing it later came to light. A second monolith arose in Piatra Neamt, Romania, on the same day, but it vanished on December 2nd. Atascadero, California, saw the appearance of a third at that point. Another monolith formed following the 3, seeing at least 87 metallic structures like the Utah Utah monolith appearing all over the world in less than a month following its discovery. The constructions, which are frequently eerily beautiful, have been seen in numerous places, including California, the Netherlands, Morocco, Canada, Australia, and many more. 11. The Skeleton Coast. The Skeleton Coast is the northernmost part of Namibia's Atlantic coast and is known as one of the country's wildest and most hostile coastal stretches. The Skeleton Coast National Park spans nearly 6,500 square miles of sandy desert. The waters around here are known for their strong currents, dense fogs, and treacherous sandbanks that are constantly moving. These extreme climatic conditions, when combined with powerful sandstorms, have been blamed for the sinking of over 1,000 ships. Many shipwrecks, as well as the skeletons of large cetaceans, are still strewn across the beach as far as the eye can see. Because of the cold Atlantic currents meeting the warm currents of the African continent, this desolate coastal strip with a threatening designation has frequently been characterized by massive storms. The Beach of Hell, as experienced Portuguese navigators called it, was given the name land that God created in anger by the Bushmen. The only way to avoid becoming trapped on this stretch of coast was to navigate completely around it. Despite its particularly prevalent inhospitality, the Skeleton Coast retains charm. Many animal species, from insects to reptiles and large mammals like elephants, giraffes, and lions, rely on the humidity provided by the fog that pushes inwards for miles. Only the most daring travelers, mostly photographers looking for spectacular and surreal landscapes, visit shipwrecks on the beach and at sea, an infinite space made of sand, water, and nothing else, where nature demonstrates its unrivaled power once more. 10. Crop circle. Crop circles are now a well-recognized phenomenon on a global scale. Rusty Manuel and Theli Whitman, two farmers living outside of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, woke up one day to see a crop circle formation on their property. 7 exact circles pushed into a field of barley and thistle. Because anyone with a piece of wood and some rope can build a crop circle, skeptics wrote off the Edmonton crop circle as a hoax. They referred to their works as human land art. At the Edmonton location, specialists took samples of soil and crops for scientific examination and recorded every circle inside the formation. Compared to artificial crop circles, the 3 main alterations in plants seen in the McCoy were elongated nodes, node ejection cavities, and anomalous germination. The samples from Edmonton had all these conditions. This indicates that the crop's properties were significantly changed in ways that were not possible for humans to do with the use of ropes and boards. The findings demonstrated a significant difference between soil samples collected from outside and inside the crop circle. There are several theories on the origin of the rings, ranging from cosmic energy to geothermal and magnetic forces. More than 10,000 crop circles have been documented worldwide over the previous few decades. Even if 8,000 of them were the result of practical jokes, there are still 2,000 riddles that remain unanswered. 9. Northwest Africa 7034. The second oldest known Martian meteorite is thought to be Northwest Africa 7034. It has the highest water content of any Martian meteorite discovered on Earth and is thought to be 2 billion years old. Despite coming from Mars, this meteorite group is called Martian basaltic breccia since it does not fall into any of the 3 SNC meteorite groups. Known by the nickname Black Beauty, its American owner gave a portion of it to the University of New Mexico after buying it in Morocco. 8. The Nampa Stone Doll. A group of workers looked for water near the town of Nampa in southwestern Idaho in 1889. They bored a borehole down around 295 feet to make a well, at which time their steam pump began to spit out particles of clay. Workers uncovered a little clay form in the shape of a slender dressed woman among the missiles. Was this a real figurine or simply a coincidence? Who made it and why? Is the entire tale a fake, as some suspect? One noteworthy detail about this discovery is that nothing of its kind has ever been found this deep in North America. After much research, there was no doubt this doll was produced by humans. But what makes this find so intriguing is that the figurine dates to when man was thought to have lived in this part of the world. Many individuals believe this figurine is an ancient antique, but others say it is a toy, like what Native American children would play with. Over the years, it has sparked great dispute in the scientific world, as scientists have tried to learn all they can about where this figurine originated from and what it is. Whatever you believe, the Nampa doll is a one-of-a-kind discovery in Idaho that has many archaeologists and other scientific experts scratching their heads. 7. Krishnas Butterball. Krishnas Butterball is an odd tourist attraction located in Mahabalipuram, a town renowned for its stone carvings approximately 60 kilometers south of Chennai. The 5-meter diameter Butterball is a massive balancing rock that appears to defy the laws of physics as it sits on a smooth slope. According to Hindu tradition, Lord Krishna used to grab a handful of butter from his mother's jar as a toddler because he had an insatiable taste for it. This enormous natural granite boulder, which is located close to the Ganesh Ratha on a hillside, is said to have been inspired by a bolus of butter that the baby Krishna would take. Due to its peculiar location, the rock is well liked by both locals and visitors since it provides a fun background for some bizarre photos. Tourists frequently place their hands beneath the stone to pose for photos, giving the impression that they are holding it up. If you're brave enough to sit behind the rock, you'll find welcome shade, and the neighboring slick hillside doubles as a terrific natural slide for local kids. 6. Mummified crocodiles. Not surprisingly, in 2019, a stockpile of mummified crocodiles was found by archaeologists excavating an undisturbed tomb in Kubat al-Hawa, a necropolis on the western bank of the Nile River. Such discoveries are not uncommon, considering that ancient Egyptians frequently maintained deceased animals as sacrifices to gods, sustenance for the afterlife, or embodiments of certain deities. For example, crocodiles were connected to Sobek, the fertile god and builder of the Nile. The crew discovered that the preserved animals differed from most mummified crocodiles upon closer inspection. The 10 crocodiles were mummified without the use of resin or the evisceration of the corpses, 2 common procedures. The animals, which consisted of 5 heads and 5 more or less complete bodies, showed differing degrees of preservation. Experts now have new knowledge about ancient Egyptian religion and the treatment of these animals as offerings thanks to the finding of these mummies. 5. Drepanosaurus. During the Triassic period, a genus of reptiles called Drepanosaurus lived in trees. It belongs to the family of diapsid reptiles called the Drepanosauridae, which is distinguished by its prehensile tails. Drepanosaurus was most likely an insectivore that lived by stream sides in the Midwestern United States and along the coast in what is now modern-day Italy. Considering its small size of 18 to 20 inches, Drepanosaurus most likely spent its time in trees, using its prehensile tail, which allowed it to climb from branch to branch, and its clawed hands and feet, which allowed it to resemble a chameleon. It is believed that Drepanosaurus used its second digit's claws to lift bark and burrow into tree nooks and crannies in order to find insects. 4. The Cooch No Stone. Archaeologists in Glasgow, Scotland, briefly dug and then reburied a 5,000-year-old stone slab with etched, swirling geometric designs. The Cooch No Stone, which spans 43 by 26 feet, features whirling designs known as cup and ring marks. The stone and its decorations have been known to the locals since at least the 19th century. Decorations like these swirls have been discovered at other prehistoric sites around the world. However, the examples incised in the Cooch No Stone are regarded as one of the best examples of such art in Europe. Reverend James Harvey excavated the entire stone slab in West Dunbartonshire in 1887, and by 1965, the stone had been attacked with graffiti and ruined by the environment, so archaeologists buried it beneath the ground to preserve the artwork. 3. The underground city of Darencuyu. The ancient city of Elengubu, now known as Darencuyu, burrows more than 85 meters beneath the Earth's surface, with 18 layers of tunnels. The world's largest excavated underground city remained in nearly continual usage for thousands of years, shifting hands between the Phrygians, Persians, and Byzantine Christians. The Cappadocian Greeks abandoned it in the 1920s after being defeated during the Greco-Turkish War and fleeing in large numbers to Greece. Not only do its cave-like rooms run for hundreds of miles, but it is possible that the more than 200 small, distinct underground towns discovered in the region are linked to these catacombs, forming a gigantic subterranean network. Darencuyu was rediscovered in 1963 by an unidentified local who was constantly losing his hens. While he was renovating his house, the poultry would vanish into a little crack produced during the process, never to be seen again. After further investigation and excavating, the Turk discovered a dark corridor. It was the first of over 600 entrances discovered within individual residences that led to the subterranean metropolis of Darencuyu. Excavation proceeded quickly, finding a complex network of underground residences, dry food storage, livestock stables, schools, wineries, and even a chapel. It was a complete civilization nestled snugly beneath. Thousands of Turkey's least claustrophobic tourists descended to the underground city, and the region was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1985. 2. Oldest fossil human footprints. Human footprints discovered in White Sands National Park, New Mexico, date to the last glacial maximum, confirming a new study that places human habitation in North America thousands of years earlier than previously believed. An international group of scientists declared in 2021 that the age of the prehistoric human footprints found at White Sands National Park ranged from 21,000 to 23,000 years. With this discovery, the known date of human arrival in North America was pushed back thousands of years, and it was suggested that megafauna and early humans coexisted for several millennia prior to the Pleistocene extinction event. 1. The Rosetta Stone. One of the most famous objects in the British Museum is the Rosetta Stone. But what exactly is it? The stone is a shattered piece of a larger stone slab. It has a message carved into it in 3 different styles of writing. It was a crucial clue that assisted experts in learning to read Egyptian hieroglyphs, a writing system that used images as signs. The writing on the stone is an official message about King Ptolemy V, known as a decree. The decree was copied onto large stone slabs known as stelae and placed in every temple in Egypt. According to legend, the priests of an Egyptian temple backed the king. The Rosetta Stone is one of these copies, so it isn't particularly significant in and of itself. The important thing for us is that the decree is written 3 times, once in hieroglyphs, once in Demotic, and once in ancient Greek, the administration's language. Egypt's rulers were Greco-Macedonian after Alexander the Great's conquest. The significance of this to Egyptology is enormous. Nobody knew how to read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs when it was discovered. The Rosetta Stone became a valuable key to deciphering the hieroglyphs because the inscriptions say the same thing in 3 different scripts and scholars could still read ancient Greek. Some of these discoveries were mind-boggling, but the one where the guy was losing his chickens was not only hilarious, but unbelievable. Which one was your favorite? Why don't you let us know in the comments below? Well, that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a like and let us know in the comments what you think. Check out our other videos and subscribe to be part of the fun. Click on the notification icon so you can see our new videos as soon as they're uploaded. Thank you for watching and see you next time.